Welcome to the Boat Babe podcast with your favorite boat babe here, Mary Allison. Here we talk boats, DIY projects, and manifestation tips to living your best vacay life on the water. If anything's going to happen, y'all know it. It's going to happen out there. So let's go explore together. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Boat Babe podcast with your favorite boat babe, Mary Allison. I actually just tried to start recording this podcast episode, but I'm on my boat in 20, 30 knot winds right now, hitting me from the port side, and I'm still at Barber. Like, I'm not in the water. If I'm in the water, it's fine. I'm up on the stands, and it is scary up here. I mean, you think, like, this is the place to be during a hurricane, and people are like, oh, just haul your boat out for hurricanes. Like, freak no way. I am 20 feet in the air right now. My mast is not tight to anything. I had to loosen all the shrouds to get it on the stand. Not on the stand, to get it on the lift to haul out. And, I mean, I tightened everything back, but not like, I mean, I've got to get back on the lift, so I'm not going to just put everything back. And I need to hire a rigging guy. There's a rigging guy that he helps me and does like a rigging check every time I go back in the water. So I'm not going to just put everything back for him to take everything apart and do it like, exactly right. So I'm up here swaying. God, I feel it. It's creepy with the storm, but I'm not going to get back in my car. I'm not going to leave the boat right now. I've got some peace and quiet to do a podcast episode. I actually, because the weather's been kind of iffy lately, I started from the bow and I'm working my way to the stern, completely organizing downstairs because it's been a disaster of a workshop. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know for me, if I'm working on projects, I just get stuff out and I'm not the best at putting it back because I'm continuously grabbing things and using things. And it's gotten to the point now where I have so much extra stuff because I can't find things. So I'm going and buying new things just because I'm not taking the time to actually organize. So I've worked my way from the bow. I'm about midship through the boat trying to organize. And I realized I haven't actually sat down and enjoyed my couch in a while. I haven't enjoyed the rain in 4 months. It's just been boat work chaos. And, I was sitting here reflecting on what it means to be a boat owner and how wonderful this life can truly be. And a lot of that is just mindset, like having a mindset shift. I mean, I'm all about hashtag boat fails and how funny they are and people going in and out of the, Jupiter Inlet and like getting washed overboard and their bikinis coming off. Like, it's funny, but that's not really what this is about. Being a boat owner should be about peace. It should be about sitting with your family in the cockpit and enjoying lunch, in a gorgeous lagoon or the bay or the bayou. It shouldn't be all about boat fixes and frustrations and leaks. Like, that can be part of it, but that's part of any relationship. And if you form a relationship with your boat, those things don't bother you. Just like if you form a relationship with, your spouse or your child or your parent, like, the imperfections don't bother you because that's just who they are and you work together to fix it. And that's how I feel about my boat. I came down here in the rain because I have a rain leak I'm having a really hard time fixing. And when my curtains for my cockpit enclosure are not on, I can't really stop this rain leak. Like, it's in an area around my cockpit in a hollow space that is very hard to get to. And anytime I try to fix it or figure out how to fix it, it's just honestly patching it, putting some plastic over it, fixes it for a second. So that's just what I did today. It's part of it. I'm getting there. I'll eventually figure it out. I also just found this is just, if anybody else has this issue, please mention it or just tell me what they've done. And maybe this is a dumb quick fix and maybe it's the way it's installed. But I just went to the stateroom in the back and I moved a little chair. It's a tiny stool that's for my vanity in the back. And I'm like, why is the floor freaking damp? Like, what the heck? Where's this leak from? And so I was taking up, oh my God, do y'all hear that rain? If I come crashing down, I wish I got it on film. This is nuts. So I took up the floor of my bed, underneath the bed, and I'm like, my black water tank is condensing to the point of leaking and creating like tons of moisture underneath it in the bilge. Like, what? I don't even use my black water tank. I'm out of the water. Like, I'm not going to the bathroom on my boat. You know, why is it oh my God. Okay. This is terrifying. I'm just going to keep on keeping on, and y'all are going to be with me if the boat falls over, but holy crap. I feel like I need to call someone, but the boat just went through 40 knot winds the other night for about 12 hours straight. We're going to be okay. The boat's fine. The stands they're tight. If the ladder falls over in my car, I'm going to be pissed. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to try to make it through this episode, you guys. I need to upload this. I got to get to the airport. Okay. So black water tank is condensing onto the floor. If you have any suggestions, please just message me. I did finalize my Instagram. It's that boat babe. So at that boat babe on Instagram. Message me on Instagram and let me know what you've done. Supposedly I know they're supposed to be, the tanks are supposed to be insulated, but my tanks were replaced about probably less than that, like 8 years ago. They're aluminum tanks. Everybody's got an opinion about aluminum tanks, I know. But so far so good. Minus the condensation issue. What the heck? Okay, so let me know if y'all have any suggestions of what to do about that. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole and Google it right now, obviously, because the wind shifted and it's now coming from the starboard side. I swear, you guys, should I just stop this episode and, leave? I mean, the boat it's not going to fall over. But I don't even know if I'm going to be able to concentrate through this episode. I want to talk to y'all about paint today. That's what I'm trying to talk about. But it might not be that. It might just be the fact that I'm sitting here terrified up on my couch in my peaceful boat. I was just getting emotional about how great of a lifestyle this is, and now I'm freaking terrified. I'm going to try to get through this, okay? I'm going to try. I'm super excited. We got a little layer of paint on the boat the other day. And this week, when the weather's nice, you know what I've decided to do? I'm going to sand my hull. I finished painting, and it's not shiny enough. I'm frustrated. It almost has a matte finish to it, and I don't like it. There's a little J90 across from me that's super shiny, and I'm like, no, I want to be shiny. I want people to be like, wow, that boat looks shiny. So I've decided that this week I'm going to start sanding. I'm just going to start from the bow, work my way around with 320 grit. And I'm going to have the guy next door, his name's Cody. He's a professional painter. He's going to help me paint. And I have a really hard time accepting help because I do so much of these projects on my own. And I don't know, maybe it's an ego thing. I want to say I did it myself. But at the same time, I can't let my ego get in the way of a dull paint job and a shiny paint job. So, he has taught me, just by me watching him paint, it's taught me what I did wrong. The prep stuff, great. Mixing the paint, great. Not a problem. Applying it is not as easy as what you may find on YouTube. There is actually a specific way to apply the paint. You have a tiny window when applying. I don't know if this is with every paint, but especially with AwlCraft 2000, you have a tiny window of where it's too much paint and too little paint. And my problem was I did too little paint. I sprayed it too light, too fine of a mist, and it flashed too fast to where it cured almost with an orange peel in the paint. And some of the sections of the hull look fine. Like some of it doesn't look like that. It looks shiny. It looks gorgeous, but it's not even. And so that's my project this week. Cody has helped me with the top because it's almost impossible to paint your top side by yourself because you need somebody to hold the hose for you. Like priming, it's not as bad. Like I drug the hose around the primer, but you sand the primer. So what we started this past weekend was masking and taping off areas. And so this week what we got accomplished was around, like below the cap rail, around the entire boat. That's a section. Oh my God, you guys, the wind is picking back up. I don't want to have to get off the boat in this terrifying wind, but you know what? I might have to. I don't want to have to record in the car, but you know what? That's what's going to have to happen. Because if this boat falls over, first of all, it's going to fall over with me in it, and then it's going to fall over on my car. So BRB, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Oh my gosh. It is, the parking lot under the boat's completely flooded. Oh, this is insane. That was terrifying. I'm sorry. I'm back in the car. You're going to hear car noises. It was not smart. Like, there's no way. I barely could get off the boat. I have covers from my boat on the ground that are floating in the water. Like, it's not, it was too much. I'm absolutely soaking wet. I barely made it in the car. I lost the cover to my mic. Oh my gosh. This is insane. Insane. I don't understand how anyone will, I guess if you're a sport fish and your boat's undercover, great during hurricanes. No. For a sailboat, no. This is why people are like, sailboats are better off in the water, tied to trees or anchored out with your mantis or your spade, because this is dangerous. I'm leaving the yard. People are just hauling ass in and out right now trying to get through this. Like, the entire yard is flooded. Like, this isn't fun. So I'm going to head out for the day, but I will just continue to keep chatting about the paint job. Okay. So yeah, the hull, it's just not shiny. I can't wait to get help. I can't wait. No, I have help. I can't wait to actually apply some more paint. The top side looks so good. So I held the hose, Cody and I taped, put plastic up, and the way that he applied the paint, there's just a specific way to do it. I honestly can't even explain it. Like, you almost go in like tiny little sections versus like an overall spray, which I guess is what I did, but I really can't explain it on here. And so it looks really good. I understand that I definitely needed help with that. It's not something I just could tackle on my own as much as I wanted to. So the next step is we applied another layer of 545 AwlCraft primer around the brow. So on an Endeavor 43, it's a center cockpit, it's a catch. So the cockpit's huge, super roomy. I mean, you could sleep up there. It's just so comfortable. It's like the best living room, sunroom ever. And around the entire cockpit were two blue stripes that are original, and the stripes just dated the boat to where it kind of looks like a giant RV. So I wanted those stripes to be sanded down, and there's like a middle ground. You can sand them down to the point where you're actually sanding the fiberglass and it's wavy, or you can sand it to where you have a shadow of the blue lines still, but it's smooth. So I kind of tried to figure out what the middle part was to where it's like the blue lines, the stripes are gone to the point, but not too much. So I had applied some primer, but I didn't apply enough, and I went in and had, like I said, I think I said in the previous episode maybe that like I had a lot of spider cracks that I needed to fix around that area. And then once you spray the primer, you can use like a acrylic filler, like a 1-part filler, and fill in a lot of the voids or like a lot of the cracks. And so that's what I did. And then I realized I needed another layer of primer. So we went up there and taped off, masked, and did all that stuff, and then applied one more layer of primer, and it just looks so good. Yesterday I sanded with 400 grit, 'cause that's all I had for the air sander, And usually you want to use 320, but 400 is fine. So I went around the whole brow, all the way around to the stern and back to the front, and sanded the primer down, and it's so smooth. It looks really pretty. And so I'm heading out of town for the weekend, and my husband and Cody are going to work on it. So they're going to tape off, hopefully spray the brow, let that dry, and then possibly come back the following day and do one other section, which will probably be around like the hatches at the top. And then that'll be a section. And then after that will be from the bow all the way to the stern, like the lower section around the windows. And then the paint job will be finished. Tomorrow, no, I think it was actually supposed to be today. The steering is, well, with this weather, I'm not sure. Today, Eric, who is running Barber right now, he's in the yard manager, he's going to come and help figure out the steering. He says he knows how to fix it. It's something else that I'm not going to tackle on my own as much as I want to. He's going to straighten out my quadrant, raise my rudder post, and basically after those two projects are finished, well, and the shiny hull, I can go back in the water. In the middle of all those projects, I am going to apply new non-skid. And I've always wanted to redo my non-skid, but I always thought it was a stamp. So, you know, like when a boat is built, they can either stamp it with the non-skid or they actually lay the non-skid like in the gel coat. So I wasn't sure. I thought it was one of the two with my boat, but it turns out it's not. I researched non-skid and found out that Kiwi grip is actually amazing. If you have any experience with Kiwi grip, message me on Instagram at @boatbabe, now that I figured out what my Instagram name is, and message me pros and cons, because from what I've learned, it's actually really awesome. You can apply one smooth coat, and it makes it really smooth. You can apply them 2 coats, like not coats, but you just go over it with the roller brush twice, and it creates the coat that I have right now, like the grit, I guess. And then if you do 3, it makes it really sharp, to where it like hurts your feet. And when I used to have a yacht detail business in Santa Barbara many moons ago, I remember getting on boats barefoot and being like, oh my gosh, like this hurts so bad. Like you have to wear shoes. And so that must have been, well, that happens like if you do the sand, like if you actually sprinkle sand into your non-skid, or I'm assuming if you use like the method I'm going to do with the Kiwi grip, where it's just too sharp. And I mean, great, that might be awesome offshore, but like what's the point of having like destroyed feet when you're trying to save yourself in a huge storm? So if I do 2 rolls, I guess, of the Kiwi grip, it should be awesome. So I'm excited to do that, and then it'll look like, you know, like she got a facelift. So that is going to be hopefully the end of the project at Barber. You know, as much as I love being in the yard, I do love being on the water. And as much as I, you know, love being able to get all this boat work done, it's not cheap. You know, doing it myself has saved probably $50,000. But at the same time, I mean, I'm paying Barber tons to be there. And my slip is just sitting there empty, and I'm still paying for that too. But so one thing I wanted to touch on was, and you know, being the only chick in the boatyard and how I feel like I'm with my people. I'm in my environment as the only girl in the yard. I swear, I am such a girly tomboy that being in a yard by myself, the only girl, like, I love it. I love looking around and seeing guys working on projects. I mean, I saw one woman in the yard a couple weeks ago, and I went up and said hi. They were rolling the bottom and maybe the top of their old funky trawler. They were from Louisiana, like super Cajun. And they, I got to talk to her for a second, but that's the only female interaction in that yard that I've had since we've been there. And, all the guys at the end of the day, they'll like have a beer, talk about their boat stuff. And I'm just sitting there like, hey guys, and like drive off. Like, I don't know how comfortable I feel going over and like shooting the shit with these guys. I mean, I guess it's fine, but I'm like, I'll just observe. I'll just be the girl that's like, let me see what y'all are doing, and then like hunker down and do my thing and put my head down. But it is nice. I see a lot of guys that I know, a lot of the captains that I know from that are neighbors with my dad's boat over in Orange Beach, and there's a couple guys that are in the yard that have worked on my boat before. So I see them and I say hi, but I mean, it's like a big frat out there. It's just like, it is a guy's world out in that yard, and it's fun to be a part of it. I'm grateful that I feel comfortable enough being there. It can be intimidating when I feel like I'm being watched, and I don't mean that narcissistically, but like I am the only girl and I'm on the only sailboat that's being worked on. So I'm like the highest in the air and I see everyone. And what that brings up, and that's what I wanted to also talk about today, is imposter syndrome. And I don't know if you know what that means, but imposter syndrome is, and this is just my explanation, I did not look this up, but this is for just how I can explain imposter syndrome easiest, is when you question your ability to do something on a professional level. For example, I've been a captain for 15 years, and there's times where I doubt that I can drive a boat. And my dad will be like, what the heck? You're the best boat driver I've ever met. Like, why are you acting like this? But it's the imposter syndrome of like, no, I can't do this. I don't have a clue what the heck I'm doing. I don't know what I'm talking about. Somebody else is better at this than I am. Who do I think I am? So that's the best example I can give of what having imposter syndrome means. And yeah, being a female in the yard definitely brings up some insecurities, because there's guys out there who probably have been doing this less than me, like less time than I have, but they have more experience in certain ways, just like Cody next door painting, or just like, the guys right next to me, Nathan, he's a friend of mine. He is doing a bottom job on his boat with Black Widow paint, and to make it, to add some speed and cut down on the weight on his sport fish. I look at that guy and I'm like, oh my God, he probably looks at me like, what the heck is she doing? Doesn't she know that she should be doing this or she should be doing that? When honestly, he's probably not even thinking twice about what I'm doing. He could just be impressed that there's another girl in the yard. Like, there's one girl in the yard doing work alone. But in my mind, I'm like, obviously I'm doing something off. He's looking at me like I'm crazy. And so, yeah, I totally suffer from imposter syndrome sometimes. And a lot of times I just have to, for me, it's nice to get reassurance from people I know. I'll talk to my mom, or I'll talk to my dad, or I'll talk to my husband, or even just having a comment from somebody in the yard going, wow, like you tackled that project by yourself? That's cool. Did you just want to learn something new? That's awesome. Or, like my dad said, he was like, I don't even think I would tackle that project. And he's the project king. But I'm doing it. I'm out there and I'm doing it. I think we all suffer with that while we're trying new things or branching out in an area of life that we love. And being a sailor, being a boat owner, being an owner of a center console, being a boat owner of like your little bass boat, we all get out there hoping we know our shit and realizing we don't. And the best word of advice, and what I've learned over the years that somebody had told me, is just keep your mouth shut and learn from other people. Let other people teach you from their experience. One thing I realized when living down in Tortola was everybody has a different style and a different language when it comes to racing. So I would race on ICs most every Friday whenever I could, if I was getting off of my charter in time. And I would hop on a boat with a different person who had more experience or less experience than I did every Friday, or let's say every other Friday or every other Friday. And every single time they would have a totally different language of what they were doing, but we were all doing the same thing. And it's because they were from different areas of the world, like places that I'd never even thought of. And instead of correcting them, or instead of going, using my language or telling them what I've learned, I just kept my mouth shut. And I realized that there's so many different ways of doing the same thing. And so when it comes to boats, projects, boats, just casual outings on the water, taking it on and off the trailer, washing it. I mean, the best part about the boating, sailing community is everybody's out there to help each other if you're willing to learn, and also if you're willing to teach. And like my boat neighbor, Terry, he has so much experience because he's twice my age or more. He's lived on his boat way longer than mine. He's gone through so many more hurricanes. And what I've learned with Terry is he does things on a dime. Like if I want to learn how to do something on a dime, I learn it from Terry. And then I go from there. I don't always take his suggestion because it might not work for me, but I never cut his conversation short. I let him talk. I let him share his experience. I let him share what he thinks I should do, because he could be right. I could listen and take 2 seconds of the 10-minute conversation that he has with me and go, oh, I can apply that to this project. Maybe not the project I'm doing now, but what he said is going to work for the other project. And I'm only cutting myself short if I cut him short. So there was this guy, older gentleman, that came up to my boat. He was going to buy my old dinghy, and he had bought a Hunter. I'm like, oh, wow, you bought a Hunter. Okay, a Hunter is either a brick on the water, or it's basically, you might as well like just put a bathtub with a sail on the water. No offense to anybody that has a Hunter, but if you want to hear me and opinions about Hunters, just tell a sailor you bought a Hunter and they're going to go, let's talk about that. So he bought a Hunter. Red flag. He didn't want to hear what I had to say about it. I wasn't going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything mean. It's just I've been in this industry and lived on the water long enough to know that there's a lot better brands out there for your money than a Hunter. And he wanted no suggestion. He didn't want to hear anything. He wanted to talk. He wanted to partially ask questions, but he did not want any help. And I'm like, dude, that guy's going to be out there in the middle of the Gulf alone, sinking or on the beach, all because he didn't want to keep his mouth shut and his ears open. All he could have done was taken 2 seconds to listen to somebody else's experience. Yeah, maybe I'm half his age and I'm a girl, but I've done a lot of shit. And I've done a lot of it right and I've done a lot of it wrong. And we could have become friends. He could have taken my number and been like, hey, I've got this question. My bilge pump is acting up. What do you think it is? Or he could have been like, hey, I've got this condensation leak on, my black water tank. And I would have been like, oh my gosh, I've got the same problem. Let's figure it out. Like, join the Hunter Forum on Facebook. You got to form relationships when you're on the water with people. You can't have your ego first. You can't be butthurt over certain things, because you're not going to get anywhere and it's not going to be enjoyable. So yeah, that about sums up this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm trying to work on the sound quality. I'm sorry that I was in the middle of a scary storm on my boat, and then I'm sorry now I'm in my car. I know that's lame. I can't wait till the day that I'm sitting in my cockpit and you're listening to the water and the wind, and we're able to talk about really fun, awesome projects and restaurants that I found in the Bahamas and all those cool things. But right now, DIY projects are where it's at. So I hope you enjoy it. I love you. Follow me on Instagram at thatboatbabe. Follow this podcast so you get notifications about when I post another episode, which as of right now, they're going to be weekly. And I love you so much, and give me a 5-star rating if you feel so inclined. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. I love you. Bye.